VOICEBOX is a Ticci Toby fanfiction consisting of 12 chapters and was first published on Quotev on the 29th of March 2014. Obviously, all signs point towards it being a magnum opus, so therefore I thought I would read the story together with you all, so we can dull the pain together. Each week, every Tuesday, I'll upload a new chapter. Let's call it Ticci Tuesdays. Now, it begins. VOICEBOX, a Ticci Toby love story. Chapter 3. The 6 people who were sitting in the living room stared at father as if he had grown a second head. There was one in black and white who looked like a gothic clown with a striped cone nose. His jaw dropped and a bunch of half-chewed candy fell out. Sitting on the floor in front of the TV was a boy who looked a lot like Link, but had black eyes with red pupils. After staring at father for a minute, his eyes landed on me, and he gave me a perverted grin. A young man in black and dark blue, wearing a dark blue mask with black ooze coming out of the eye sockets, was sitting in a chair with an open book in his lap. I couldn't really tell what he was thinking because of his mask. On the couch were 3 young men. 2 of them were wearing masks. The third had some kind of mouth guard on and orange goggles. One of the masked men was wearing an orange hoodie that shaped his face, leaving only glowing red eyes and a red stitched frown showing. The other masked man was wearing a yellow hoodie, and his mask was white with black eyes and a black painted mouth. The man with the goggles and mouth guard was wearing a brown long-sleeved hoodie with grey and brown striped sleeves and was sharpening 2 hatchets while twitching every now and then. Jeff stood behind me laughing at the others in the room. With all the staring, I was starting to get nervous and I started twitching again. At first no one said anything, but I could sense that they were all looking at me. My tail started swishing back and forth, and I started to get irritated with the starting, especially from the Link lookalike. VOICEBOX, these are my 3 proxies, Masky, Hoodie, and Ticci Toby, he said as he pointed them out to me. By this time my twitching was getting bad. My neck started cracking and my lips started twitching into a smile every few seconds. That is Laughing Jack. Most people call him LJ. Next is Eyeless Jack. Most call him EJ. And last is Ben Drowned. That's not his name. Ben, stop thinking like that about my daughter. Nice to meet you, I greeted between the twitches. I was hoping that I could leave the room soon. I could feel the twitching starting to lessen, and I really didn't want to start giggling in front of everyone. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to leave in time. As the guys in the room started greeting me in return, the twitching stopped and my sinister giggling started. I could tell I was blushing as my giggling took hold. Sorry, can't help it. I managed to get out between the giggling. I have Tourette's syndrome. It will stop in a minute. And that's cool, babe. I like your laugh. Ben smirked as he winked at me. So do you like video games, babe? Don't call me babe. My name is VOICEBOX. Video games are okay. My giggling was finally starting to die down. Ha ha ha, I agree with Ben. Ha ha ha, your giggling is very cute, VOICEBOX, LJ said as he stuffed more candy in his mouth. Ha ha ha, do you like candy? I like candy every once in a while. How do you feel about eating kidneys? EJ asked. I prefer vocal cords, but whatever floats your boat. Hoodie and I want to know if you like cheesecake! Masky said, I love cheesecake! Who wouldn't like cheesecake? Do you like pancakes? Toby asked. No, wait, I gotta do it like Baptism on Fire's show. Do you like pancakes? Toby asked. I adore pancakes, especially blueberry pancakes with boysenberry preserves on them. By this time, my giggling had completely stopped, and I smiled at them, revealing my sharp canine teeth. After chatting with the boys for a while and explaining how I was Slenderman's daughter, I started yawning. Father sent everyone to bed and asked me to follow him to his office. He has an office? I waved goodnight to everyone. Ben smirked and winked at me, and Jeff, of course, called me Sweet Cheeks again, which earned them both growls from me and a smack to the back of their heads from Father. Oh my god. Is this like fucking... Is Slenderman like Miss Peregrine? And she's like, oh, you silly boys. Just slap him on the back of the head. Oh, fuck, oh, this is hurting my brain. How old is Ben supposed to be? Because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Ben like a really young boy in the original story? Why is he a horny pervert? I followed Father up the stairs and down a few corridors to his office. The door was black and had a white circle with a white X through it. Inside the office was a large desk. 3 walls covered in floor-to-ceiling bookshelves crowded with books, and a few chairs. Father sat down in the tall chair behind the desk and motioned for me to sit down in one of the other chairs. Shayla, tell me about your life. I have missed so much. I wish I had known you were still alive. I would have brought you and Rebecca to live with me here, if I had only known. I swear that I could see pain on Father's featureless face. I suspect that he would have cried if he could have. Father, I sighed, there is so much to tell you. I just ask that you listen to everything I have to say before you say anything. Of course, daughter, Father said in a worried tone. Remember, Shayla, you must tell him everything. He will be angry, but not with us. He loves us and would never hurt us. Trust me on this. I do trust you, VOICEBOX. You may not always tell me everything, but you have not lied to me before, and I doubt you will start now. I took a deep, calming breath and started telling Father about how life was okay while Rebecca was alive, but I knew that she was getting hit by the people I thought were my parents. I explained that I knew that Rebecca was protecting me, but that after she died they had turned their abuse towards me, and how I stayed to protect Benna from their cruelty. I told him about the bullying and the teasing from the other kids at school. It was especially difficult to tell Father about the punishments I would receive from the man I had thought was my father. Finally, I told him about killing Biff, Joel, my parents, Jeannie's parents, Jeannie and Roxanne. The entire time I was telling Father about my life, I started at my hands as I stroked my tail for comfort. I was afraid to look at Father, afraid that he would blame me for being raped. Most people blamed the girl, said she was begging for it and lying about it. A few minutes after I finished telling Father about my life, I felt his tendrils lift me up and he pulled me into a hug. He rocked me back and forth as though I was still a baby and wiped away the tears I hadn't known I was crying. I noticed that the tears from my left eye were as black as night, but the tears from my right eye were blood red. I looked up at Father and hugged him back, sobbing into his suit jacket. Finally, I could let my tears fall. I cried out all the loneliness and pain I had felt for so many years. There was finally someone there who would hold me like Rebecca had, with love and understanding. After crying for about half an hour, I drifted off to sleep, still cuddled in Father's arms as he whispered words of love and comfort to me. I felt like I was finally home. I woke up the next morning in a large canopy bed. The silk sheets were blood red. The blanket was white with a black forest scene on it. The bed itself was made of purple heartwood, and the canopy was as red as the sheets. Oh, this is just such a fairy tale, isn't it? You know, you come to the Slender Mansion and life is just wonderful. Slender Man is so nice. He doesn't kill people at all. He's just like a nice little father figure. Oh, it's so nice. They're not killers. They're all nice people. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, got up and looked around the room. The walls were painted sky blue, and there was a dresser, a desk, and a vanity all made of purple heartwood like the bed. The carpet was black, there was a large bay window with a built-in love seat, and there were 3 doors in the room. I walked to the door nearest to the window and found a walk-in closet with a wide selection of clothes, everything from jeans and t-shirts to formal dresses. I also found my backpack and I picked out some underclothes, a pair of black lowrider jeans, a blue spaghetti strap belly shirt, and a pair of black running shoes. I checked the second door on the same wall and found a private bathroom. With a squeal of delight, I tossed my clothes on the white marble countertop, ran back to my backpack, grabbed my lavender-scented shampoo, conditioner, body wash, my wild cherry blossom deodorant, my hairbrush, toothbrush, and toothpaste, and ran back to take a shower. I don't care about what you have in your backpack! Move on with the fucking story! Stop telling me about what the fuck you do when you take a shower! That's not supposed to be in the story! Brevity is the soul of wit! I think William Shakespeare said that! Brevity is the soul of wit! Stop! Stop! I found some towels and washcloths under the sink and enjoyed the relaxing hot water. For once I was truly happy, and I started to sing my favorite song, Come Little Children by Erutan. Once I was done, I quickly dried off, changed into my outfit, put my clothes in the hamper and opened the door. To my surprise, I found that my room had been invaded while I was in the bathroom. Ben, EJ, LJ, Masky, Hoodie, Toby, Jeff, and a cute little girl in a torn pink dress with brown messy hair and blood on her face were sitting in my room. The little girl jumped up off the bed and ran over to me as she held a brown teddy bear in her arms and smiled up at me. "Hello, Miss VOICEBOX. I'm Sally, and this is Charlie. You sing really pretty. Will you play with me?" She said as she looked up at me with large green eyes full of joy. "Well, hello, Sally and Charlie. It's nice to meet you," I said as I squatted down to her level. "I would love to play with you, but I'm kind of hungry. Maybe we could have breakfast together first and then play. Would that be okay?" "Sure, I'll show you to the kitchen. Daddy Slendy should have breakfast ready soon." "Sally," I whispered to her as I bent closer to her, "do you know why everyone seems to be in my room?" "Yep," she whispered back. "They heard you singing and came here so they could hear it better. Ben wanted to go into the bathroom, but the others wouldn't let him." "I see. Thank you. If you would just wait a minute while I talk to the guys, I would love to walk down the kitchen with you. I haven't been there yet, so I could use the help finding it." "Okay, you're real nice, Miss VOICEBOX. Charlie says he likes you." "Thank you, Charlie. I like you too." I stood up and looked at the guys. I raised an eyebrow and said in a very cold tone of voice, "You know, boys, it isn't polite to come into a girl's room without permission. I would appreciate if you would get my permission first. If not, then I could always do to you what I did to Biff, and remove the head that does your thinking for you. Now, if you would all be so kind as to leave, I would like to finish getting ready for breakfast without a male audience." With that, the boys all rushed out of my room. Ben looked almost as white as Jeff, and even Jeff looked a bit paler than he had been. Is this a fucking Saturday night sitcom? I giggled as I walked over to the vanity and sat down to brush out my hair. When I was done, I sat Sally down on the chair and fixed her hair up in a French braid. This is so fucking boring. Just please, can something happen? I don't care about this. Then Sally and I walked down to the kitchen together. All the boys were seated at the table while Father was standing at the stove finishing up breakfast. I noticed, is Slenderman suddenly like a housewife? I noticed that none of the boys were looking at me, and smirked. I helped Sally into her seat and walked over to Father. Father, is there anything I can do to help? Thank you for offering, daughter, but I am almost finished. Please take the seat next to Sally, and I will be finished soon. Alright, Father, perhaps I can help you with dinner then. That would be fine. I would enjoy the company. I went back to the table and sat next to Sally. A few minutes later, Father handed out everyone's plates and sat down by me at the head of the table. I chuckled at all the different dishes Father had made. LJ had a big bowl of candy. EJ had kidneys, eggs, and bacon. Masky and Hoodie had cheesecake pancakes. Jeff had bacon, sausage, eggs, and toast. Father had a raw steak and some sausage, and the rest of us had blueberry pancakes. It was delicious. Father even had my favorite boysenberry preserves on the table for me. It was interesting to see that Father really did have a mouth. For some reason I wasn't afraid of his sharp pointed teeth, or his long black and white tongue. After breakfast I followed Sally up to her room, and we played dress up and had a tea party. After a few hours playing, Sally, Charlie, and I headed downstairs and had lunch. Apparently lunch here is a fend for yourself affair, so I made some peanut butter and jelly sandwich for Sally and me. Playing with Sally really made me miss Benna and Rebecca. I remembered Rebecca playing the same games with me, and I played them with Benna. Shayla, you can still check up on Benna. You just can't let her see us. Our new appearance might scare her. If you want, we can ask Father to take us to check on her. We could follow her back to our grandparents' house to make sure she is alright. Thanks, VoiceBox. That is a great idea. Let's go ask for him now. Hey Sally, I need to go see Father for a bit. I'll play with you later, okay? Okay, VoiceBox. Charlie and I had a lot of fun. See you later. She hugged me and then ran off towards the living room. I headed up to Father's office and knocked on the door. After a minute I heard him call for me to come in. Father was once again sitting behind his desk and it looked like he was working on some paperwork. Ah, Shayla, please... What kind of fucking paperwork would Slenderman have to do? My voice, it's getting out of control right here. Oh my goodness, guys. Ah, Shayla, please come in. He stood up and gave me a warm hug before sitting back behind the desk. I took a seat and smiled up at him. Daughter, I already know what you want to ask. I'm afraid that I am unable to take you to see Benna today, but I can have one of my proxies take you back to the mortal realm instead. The mortal realm. How did you know what I wanted to ask, Father? My dear, I am able to read other people's minds, though it is difficult for me to read yours. I have only been able to read your mind when you are upset or sad about something. I do try not to invade people's privacy too much, but when you are upset, you tend to project your thoughts. Oh well, thank you, Father. Which one of your proxies is going to take me to Benna? Since Masky and Hoodie are stalking my next victim, I will be sending Toby with you. He hasn't been assigned a mission this week, and he has been getting restless staying here. Alright, thank you. Would you like me to ask him to come up here? That is quite alright, my dear. I have already told him that he would be accompanying you and he is waiting by the front door. I also have telepathy, which is how I usually inform my proxies of their missions. That is a useful talent to have. Well, I will see you later this afternoon, Father. I'm still planning on helping you with dinner tonight. Very well. Have a good time, my child. I stood up and Father gave me another hug before I left the office. I headed down to meet up with Toby, who was waiting by the front door. I smiled at him and we headed outside. A few feet away from the mansion, Toby took out a key just like the one Jeff had and made a slashing movement with it in the air in front of him. A black portal opened up and on the other side I could see a meadow. We walked through the portal into the meadow that Jeff had brought me to before. Toby, do you know the way to Elmira from here? I asked as I looked around. Sure, no problem. He started twitching as he led the way through the forest. After about an hour and a half, I saw my old fort and knew the way from there, so I took the lead. It's another 20 minutes until we reach Benna's school. I'm just glad that the way to our grandparents' house is through a forested area. We should have no problem staying hidden as we follow her. That's good. I was surprised when Slendy said you were his daughter. None of us knew that he had any children of his own, though he calls everyone who lives with him his child. I didn't know he was my father either. I thought I had killed my parents, though it turns out they were really my aunt and uncle. Why'd you kill them? I would really rather not discuss that if you don't mind. Sure, no problem. We all have secrets we would rather keep. Thanks. We spent the rest of the walk in silence. When we arrived at Benna's school, we hid in the woods and waited for the bell to ring. Fortunately, it was only a few minutes later that school was let out. How convenient. As all the kids rushed out, I watched for Benna. As soon as Benna started walking back to our grandparents, Toby and I followed. About 5 minutes after we left the school grounds, I saw a slightly older boy run up behind Benna and push her down. I quietly growled at the boy, started laughing at her, and pushed her backpack into a mud puddle. I could tell he was saying something, but he was too far away from me to make out what. Benna started crying, grabbed her muddy backpack, got up and ran away, leaving the boy standing there laughing. Toby, be a dear and follow that brat home for me, please. I'll meet you back here after I make sure Benna gets back safely. I called over my shoulder as I ran through the woods following Benna. I followed her back to our grandparents' house, and thankfully nothing else happened to her. Then I ran back to where I left Toby and waited for him to come back. It was only a few minutes later that he showed up. I followed him home. It looks like it's just him and his father living there. I saw no evidence of a woman living in the house, Toby said as soon as he saw me. Well then, how about we pay them a little visit after dinner tonight? That boy should not have dared touch Benna. For that, he and his father will be punished. What has his father done? You don't know if he's guilty or anything. What if his father is completely innocent, you stupid bitch? I growled as I spoke and then let out an evil-sounding laugh. I wouldn't mind going out killing myself. It's been a while since I had fun. We will have to clear it with Slendy, but I don't think we will have a problem with that. Good. Well, let's head home. I still have to help Father cook dinner and get ready for tonight. I also know a few other people in this area who have been begging for death. I think tonight would be a good time to give them what they want. With another evil laugh, Toby and I headed home. That concludes Chapter 3. Tune in next week for Chapter 4.